Good morning. God, we are a good-looking group, are we not? Wow. Today, our goal for Team Gen Blend is to start the process of creating the best of the best, the new normal of a multi-generational workforce. We can only start it up here. As you'll see by the end of this project, you guys are going to have a job to do by the time we're done today. First, I'd like to introduce the team. I'm sorry Jonathan just did that, but it's part of the program. And we found a slide for it, so we have to use it. Brittany Quarles, LSM and Internship Coordinator for Radio 1 Richmond. Brock Taylor, Production Manager for CBS 6 Richmond. Angie Knoll, Media Consultant for Mel Wheeler, Roanoke, Lynchburg. Jennifer Schulte, LSM for Wavy TV here in Hampton Roads. My name's Paul McDaniel, a.k.a. Uncle Paulie in Charlottesville, Program Director of WCYK. Proud member of the Monticello Media Team in Charlottesville. So currently, for the first time in American history, we can have 5 different generations in one workforce. For me, on a weekly basis, I manage ages 14 to 68. That's our 14-year-old Elliot in our mascot costume. We are honored to say today that our business manager, Gail, will be 78 years young next month.
Aww.
Cute, right? Mean as a snake if you're a accountant. If you're a salesperson, you know what I'm talking about. First, we've got to define all 5 generations. There is some fluctuation between the generations, so we'll go with a slide and try to stick with that for the rest of the program. Veterans, the silent generation, also known as traditionalists, are born 1900 to 1945. Nanny Gale, who you just saw, is one of our veterans. Boomers, born 46 to 64. Gen X, 65 to 76. Millennials, born 77 to 97. And then there's Gen Y, also known as Gen 2020. They were born after 1995. If you haven't yet considered the generational dynamics in your workforce, think of this example. When asked to recall how and where Kennedy died, veterans and boomers would say gunshots in Dallas. Gen X would say plane crash, Martha's Vineyard. Millennials and Gen Y would say Kennedy who? In the workplace, generational differences can affect everything, including recruiting, building teams, dealing with change, motivating, managing, and maintaining. To successfully integrate these diverse generations into one workforce, we have to embrace some practices in recruitment and in retention. We got to create a workspace that actively demonstrates respect and inclusion for its multi-generational workforce. Each group has its own distinct characteristics, values, attitudes toward work, based on its generation's life experiences. Today, we will address each generation individually. And I will begin with the traditionalist, also known as the veterans born 1900 to 1945, considered the most loyal and highly dedicated. I'm going to say it again, loyal and highly dedicated, because you need to remember that, because yes, Bob Willoughby, there will be a quiz. But we thought we'd shake it up a little bit. I hope you don't mind. We've been in here for a little more than an hour, maybe more than that. Anybody up for a game show? First, I need the ugly game show host jacket. Check. And then the ridiculously long game show host microphone. So just like Family Feud, Generational Feud will work very similar. And because, oh, you know what, Vanna, we need our box of goodies. They're over there. Okay.
We have our box of goodies.
All contestants today will take a little bit of radio station swag because none of us have enough radio or TV station swag at home. So if you participate, you get a bag. For each generation, we'll put the top answers on the board. We'll have you guess 3 of them, and for the sake of time, we'll put the rest up thereafter. So I have the traditionalist. Anyone here born before 1945, would you mind raising your hand?
Anyone?
Bob Willoughby, I got bad news, buddy.
Wait.
No.
Right here.
Oh, we were going to make Bob the backup. Who is it? Mike, would you mind participating for a bag of swag? Remember, I said there was a pop quiz, so remember one of those answers. Name the top character traits of a good leader or manager.
Probably the best one I would say would be to be direct and right in the eye of the individual that you're working with.
Survey says. Because I know the Bob father was paying attention, he'll get another question. Answer.
I would say integrity.
Integrity? All right, let's bring the answers up on the board. Consistency. Traditionalists love consistency. They love a team. They work out, they look out for each other. They're very loyal to the brand and their bosses. They're caring. They like a plan that holds the team accountable to completion. They prefer not to take big financial risks. And they're always on time. Very few of us in this business are ever on time. But you can be for sure, Gail, who you saw, she goes to lunch at 11:30 every day. She doesn't leave a minute sooner or a minute later. So now as we see, silent or loyal, dedicated, not big fans of taking a risk. It's helpful as managers to know how they got there. They're products of the Great Depression, World War II, and the post-war boom years. In summary, silence possesses a strong commitment to teamwork, collaboration. Veterans now consist of the most affluent elderly population in U.S. history due to their willingness to conserve and save, thanks to the post-war era. And now we'll toss it to Brittany. She will take on the baby boomers.
All right. So who's a proud baby boomer in the room? Show of hands. Be proud, be happy. It's good. It's not a bad thing. Welcome our baby boomers. So don't count out this generation just yet. Although millennials outnumber this generation now in the workplace, boomers are still making a boom impact into the workforce. You all have experienced civil rights, women's rights, Vietnam, the deaths of MLK, JFK. You all are strong, very, very strong, and we thank you for that. You all experienced, well-connected, loyal, collaborative, and natural mentors for our team, especially our newbies. Most importantly, you all work hard. I read in an article that you all work to live, and I truly believe that as I see the boomers in our office. They never miss a beat. Now that you know why you should still recruit this generation, because they are very, very valuable to our workplace, let's get back to Generational Feud to learn how they search for jobs. Top 6 answers will be on the board. Paulie, I need a contestant.
Anybody born between 46 and 64 need a bag of radio and TV station goodies? Raise your hand. Come. Carrie Todd, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
No, you're in the 70s. My bad. My bad. Let's look here. I just wanted to call you out.
Yeah,
Really.
right back
Marsha
here,
Landis. Oh, okay.
All right. Marsha Landis, ladies and gentlemen. Name the ways that baby boomers search for job openings.
Probably not going to have the right answer. LinkedIn.
All right.
You're on a roll. 2.
The internet.
We'll take it.
Recruiter.
All right, one more for you because you've done so well.
Friends.
All right. social media, you'll be surprised at how many people are now using Facebook. If I ask my nephews about Facebook, it's for old people. So yes, we are still using it to actually network now and not just discuss birthdays and that kind of thing. Job fairs, still a very traditional way of finding a new career or a transition career. And boomers have money, so they could hire a career coach if they're looking to transition in or out of the industry and also into a new position for them moving forward in the industry. And now I want to show you guys a quick video of one of our awesome boomers in our office, Bob Walden. Some of you might know him. He's our national sales manager. He tells me he's been around for 102 years, give or take. And he hasn't looked for a job in 17 years, but if he did, these are the places he might go find a job. Let's see.
Since I haven't looked for a job in about 17 years, it's been a while. But I would say I would probably go to like LinkedIn, use contacts there, maybe monster.com. They're probably the two first places I would go, and actually contacts that I know in the business as well.
Thank you, Bobby. So as you can see, this generation is still very relevant to our workforce. You may have heard things like they can't adapt, they're self-absorbed, they're selfish, they don't know how to use technology. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. There are still many, many boomers in our industry who are tech savvy, who want to learn new things and still love this industry and where it's going. So therefore, it's our responsibility to learn how to recruit them, where to recruit them, manage them, and keep developing them and their talents and their strengths to strengthen our overall teams. So let's go to see how Gen X fares in the workforce with Brock.
Thank you, Brittany. All right, Gen Xers, 1965 to 1980. Anybody in the room, I assume? Plenty, yeah. When I first started hearing about Generation X when I was young, they were dubbed the slacker generation. That couldn't be any further from the truth, really. That's really a misleading name. Gen Xers tend to have more formal education than the previous generations, but they graduated with more debt. To further complicate their early work experience, graduates often found themselves in a working world with fewer jobs available as downsizing became normal. In fact, they came to age in this era of downsizing. This environment has given them the inherent characteristic of independence. Self-image is that of a free agent. Think of this free agent attitude as less of disloyalty and more of self-entrepreneurship. Work is a contract, of course, and must be fulfilled by both sides. To realistically survive, the worker must be flexible, resourceful, and self-sufficient. They're driven by self-improvement, so this attitude, of course, can only benefit a manager. So let's focus on that managerial-worker relationship and go back to the game. Gen Xer, Holly.
Looking for years 65 to 80 to participate in the game for the coveted swag bag. Gina. Gina, you got to watch your back because you just got nominated. What are the top characteristics of Gen Xers' relationship with management?
Go number 3. Put that one up there. Yeah, put number 3 up there, though.
I don't have the question.
These are characteristics between the manager and the Gen X employee.
Brock, repeat that question one more time.
The top characteristics of the management's relationship with the Generation X employee. Yeah. There you go. See?
You got it right. You dislike micromanagement. For the sake of time, let's pop the other answers up.
Self-sufficient. As I said, they're independent, self-sufficient, distrustful of authority. I'm going to talk about that. Successful on their own terms. Talk about that as well. Number 5, loyalty is not that important. That doesn't sound good. I'll talk about that. So again, self-improvement and self-entrepreneurship are the driving factors for every Gen X employee. It's important to note that managers must give honest and concise feedback in order to appropriately improve. Independence, but in a structured environment. Guidance is necessary, but freedom is the best reward. These workers tend to be skeptical or challenging of authority. This is not necessarily a negative quality. Of course, management and the worker must constantly be in a state of improvement, and skepticism is a challenge that should be used as a resource for improvement. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Generation X can be used to bridge the gap between the millennials and the baby boomers. Those are two much larger generations than Generation X is. As retirement ages continue to increase, and we're on the cusp of adding yet another generation to the workforce, Gen X workers' characteristics must be utilized. Between their balance of structure and nonconformity and a firm grasp of technology, these workers can serve as the middle child between two notably very different generations. This puts Gen X workers in a unique position to bridge all working generations together, creating a much more efficient workplace. And speaking of those two generations, we've already heard about the baby boomers, so now let's hear about millennials with Angie.
With the millennials, we're talking about those that are born between 1977 and 1995. In recruiting and developing this very large population in the workforce, it's important to learn more about them. They like immediate and positive feedback. They're community service oriented and want to work for a company that's very socially conscious. This group is very technologically savvy. They grew up with technology. It's social everything, from Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. The list is truly endless. They share everything socially, and they're researching your company online and sharing information about you before they've even applied for the job. But speaking of recruiting the millennial generation, let's get back to the board for another question.
Any millennials interested in participating? You'll do it.
All right. We want to know, what are the top things that a millennial looks for in a corporate environment? The top things that a millennial will look for in a corporate environment. Vacation days.
Yeah, I was going to say work-life balance.
Work-life balance?
That is on the board.
Get it, girl. Perks, vacation time, something like that? Take one more stab at it?
I would say ability to advancement.
Growth opportunities, advancement opportunities? Instant feedback is good.
Yes.
I'll put them up.
Thank you, Jennifer. Let's see the other answers on the board. Transparency of the company.
Good job, millennial.
Community involvement and generosity. Meaningful work. And inclusions in decision making, collaboration. So when recruiting a millennial, know that they want to know that your company is transparent and socially conscious. They want to know that the community that they're working for is involved in the community. They value a work-family balance and would like instant and positive feedback. So now let's hear from a millennial in my office. She is the promotions director of WXLK. And this is what she was looking for in a corporate environment. Hang on, little hiccup.
Positive feedback when talking to your coworkers. I look for good communication. I feel like if you don't have good communication in the workplace, then you're never going to get anything done. So being able to easily talk to your coworkers. I look for just everyone helping each other. Easy to reach different people and ask for help. And people being willing to give help.
Thank you, Kayla. The millennials. It's so funny how most of the people in this room that are not of that generation will roll their eyes when talking about the development of a millennial in her workplace. After all, these kids, they don't have any idea what it takes to make it in the workplace. Their parents have planned their lives for them. They've done everything for them. They're spoiled, entitled, and have no idea how to make it in this market. But if those are the only stereotypes that you rely on, you're going to miss out that millennials are also great at multitasking and they're very goal-oriented. They're the technology generation. They've always had technology in their lives. Always. They like to communicate with technology, emails, text, direct messaging, and through apps. It is because of their technology-driven upbringing that they like instant and positive results. The opportunity to work around other positive people, bright, creative people, that's the motivation in the workplace. That said, millennials are great to have on your team when you need something done in a very creative technological way, because they can figure out a way to take any project to the next level. And speaking of building brand new generations, we're going to turn it over to Jennifer to talk about Generation Z.
Good morning, everyone. So Generation Z, she did not want to talk about this generation. Thank you. So Generation Z is not in the workforce yet, and we hear it all the time from the presentations in which we attend, articles. Now we're even hearing buyers talk about and ask questions about Generation Y, the millennials. But this is the newest generation coming down. Matter of fact, both of my sons are Generation Z. They love their cell phones. So it's interesting, these guys live off of this device. It's no longer a tablet, it's no longer an iPad, it's not a laptop, it's truly their mobile device. So this is a study that was done with high schoolers, kind of walking through what's interesting to them. And I won't read all of these, but the second quote is from a 15-year-old, sounds a lot like one of my sons. And he's not asking for a car, he's not asking for a laptop, he's asking for like this mobile device, because it's how he finds out about homework, it's how he finds out about practice at school. This is extremely important, it's his lifeline. Look at the bottom two. I only watch Netflix. This is important to know because this generation will be knocking on your doors and sitting in your chairs for an interview in a couple of years. Music is an integral part of my life. So for those in radio, what can we do to talk to this next generation coming down the pipelines? But first, let's play a little game.
Anyone here in that generation? Let's go to the default, the Bob father, Bob Willoughby. What is important to Gen Z in the workplace, sir?
Well, I would say they have to have access to their phone.
And that hurts. Want to take another stab at it?
Do I have an option?
No.
I would say that they're also interested in instant feedback.
Yeah.
How about one more? You feeling good?
Yes. Let's see. They're probably also interested in quality time.
We'll take that. We'll put the other answers up on the board.
So this new generation is very much about flexibility. They're all about working, but they want to work part-time, as we all do, Mind you, they're in high school and college at this point. They do want to grow their career. A lot of them aren't really looking at going to college. They're ready to start their career as soon as high school ends. So that's something we need to keep in mind. Positive impact, this is really tied to the community. So right now, as I mentioned, they're in middle school, high school, just entering college. They'll be in front of us in a couple of years. They are what is considered truly digital natives, meaning they haven't watched technology, they've lived it. They have been playing with your laptops and your computers and your mobile devices since they were 2 years old. This is what they know. They've probably had, I know at least my boys had cell phones in elementary school. They actually talk side by side via text and Snapchat, not so much face-to-face. I know when my kids come home, it's, how was your day? I get one word, fine. Good, yep. And that's because they have an 8-second attention span. They're used, because of the way they communicate to one another, short, sweet messages. So when we look at recruitment, we look at how we're going to get our message out, news, weather. They're used to getting it right on their phone. They are best friends with Siri. Use emojis, images, be direct. And let me tell you, because of the mobile device, they research everything. They know about what's going on, and if there's attacks in London, they know about sports and who's been traded and who's been moved. I mean, everything's at their fingertips. So when we want to earn their loyalty, we want them to watch or listen to our station, they've already researched you. If they're thinking of working for you, they've already been online to see what you're all about. So if you have a mission, you have a vision, you want to make sure not only do you put it out on your website, but that you live it, because they're going to research you. So I had my son go into high school and ask a few questions to this new generation. I hope you enjoy their responses. Oh, back it up.
Google?
The internet.
Google. The internet? Something I enjoy.
My coworkers and just having fun.
Safety and a fun environment. Liking where I'm working.
She's a happy child.
Boring.
I mean, it informs people worldwide about common stuff people wouldn't usually know, so I guess it's useful.
It's good. I don't really watch any of that or listen to it.
She loves her life. She really does. You can tell. She's a happy child. But if you notice some of their responses, short. They didn't go on and on and on like I do. Short and sweet. This is the generation coming through. So first, before I click on over, I have a pledge. I'd first like the VAB board members and former board members to please stand. Current and former. I'd like, if you're a GM or a department head at your station, to please stand. If you are an alumni of the best, please stand. So you are my first wave of a pledge. And those who are not standing, you can now please be seated, because there's roughly about 25, 30 of you in the room, which is great. So I'm asking you to make a pledge because, as you saw from the video, they think our industry is boring. They think it's boring because they live off this device. So we need to educate them, and this is more than just attending a career fair, because when you hit a career fair, most of them want to be either talent on TV or at a station, but we need to educate them when they're a freshman and a sophomore, or even in high school. Brittany does a great job at her station of actually talking to them when they're in high school in their early ages, but we need to become part of their content in school. So I'm asking you to fill out a pledge. It's what I call the Generation Z Challenge. And what we need to do is commit and make a commitment to go into a school, into a marketing class or a broadcast class or social, and literally tell them what we do. We can show we can show various videos. We can show the excitement. I mean, we have a lot of fun at our job. It's exciting. You know, whether you're news or you're radio talent or you're production or you're in engineering, our world is exciting. I love what I do. So I'm asking you to make a commitment. I have every school, every college listed, so I will be sending what's in your backyard if you don't already know. But I am looking for at least those who are standing to be my first wave. If you're sitting down and you want to participate, please complete. But like the first group is, we have to start educating them early about who we are and what we're all about, so that this generation comes, sees us, and we're the industry they choose. Thank you very much. Bob, any questions? We're ready.
Anything we can,
Wow. I think it's the same reason why diversity is important to our country and every country. I think, when you have diverse perspectives and you have fresh ideas, you cannot move forward in the best capacity possible if you don't have various people in a room discussing, a topic or a challenge or an opportunity. Diversity creates opportunity, in my opinion. And so I think when you have various ages and backgrounds and all of those things contribute to a well-oiled and well-functioning machine. And I do not think you can possibly reach your highest potential as an organization or, even for one problem at a time, you can't reach your highest potential if you don't have various people discussing it from all different backgrounds and age groups. I think it's almost like a no-brainer. I think for, like I said, for our country, for our industry, for your household, for everything that you go to different people in your life for different problems. The same way in the workforce, I would go to different people in my workforce for a challenge or an opportunity. So I think you have to reach your highest level of opportunity by getting everyone at the round table who has different outlooks on it.
I'll add communication to that, just in my weekly job requirements. It's funny, we've all said it once before, if not 100 times before. We're in the business of communication, but we don't ever talk. Our midday guy with the hit kicker, 68 years old, I can't text him like I can the 14-year-old in the mascot and expect him to respond. I got to get up, and go walk and see him in the studio, even if it's just a little tidbit. I'd rather see him face to face, and he told me he'd rather see me face to